On today's show, it's win or go home for the LA Clippers in Game 6, and what adjustments, what needs to be better for them to come out with the win and force a Game 7. Going to be talking about it all on today's Locked On Playoff Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You were locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA. Been a Clipper fan for 20 years, been covering the team for 5 years on my own personal YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, in 3 years right here on the Locked On Podcast Network for Locked On Clippers, your team every day. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and listen wherever you get your podcasts. This episode is brought to you by Amazon Fire TV Stick. Head to amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about the adjustments and what needs to be better for the Clippers to keep their season alive. I am wrong. I was wrong. I said Clippers would win in 6, and, well, that can't happen anymore. So I was wrong. Now, it's going to take a lot to win in 7 games, but before you can win in a 7th game, you've got to win a 6th game. And for me, it comes down to 3 very simple things: coaching, game planning, stars, and the defense. Now, I'm going to go to the first one that I think we can control the most, is our defense as a team. This is what we've made our bread and butter all season long. Last game, we allowed 131 points. On my YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, I went over every single field goal that the Nuggets made and tried to break down the defensive faults. Let's just say you can blame just about everybody a good amount, including Kawhi Leonard. I'd say the person I blamed the least in the breakdown was probably Derrick Jones Jr., but no, that's not even true either. He got blown by Russell Westbrook on a closeout. Like, nobody was really that good defensively, and that's pretty rare to say for us. But you also have to acknowledge that a lot of those shots by the Denver Nuggets were simply stars being stars, making incredible shots. Jamal Murray was absolutely fantastic, and there's not much you can do about him when he's making shots. So hopefully we'll have a little bit of a regression back to, I don't know. The thing about Jamal Murray is he is a playoff guy, but he's very capable, as we've seen in this series, of having some rough shooting games. 17 for 26. I mean, that was one of his best playoff games, and he's had some really good ones. You know, I would know I haven't missed any of them in his entire career. But defensively, what should we do? Now, there's been a lot of talk about the starting lineup. You know, is Chris Dunn's not giving us enough offense? We got to go with someone else to adjust, you know, to give the offense a better chance with shooting. Maybe someone like Derrick Jones Jr., Nicholas Batum. So that's a conversation for when I talk more about the coaching side of things. But in terms of the defense, I don't think we did anything wrong scheme-wise in Game 5. But it seemed like the players did not know our schemes the same way, not know the personnel. I mean, when Jamal Murray's made a couple of threes, we're still helping off of him one pass away. You know what I'm saying? With Jokic on the ball. We're playing drop coverage with DeAndre Jordan, Jamal Murray pick and rolls, even though throughout the series we've thrown 2 on the ball and forced them to pass to DeAndre Jordan, which oftentimes Jamal Murray doesn't even want to do in that short roll situation, because when you give the ball to DeAndre Jordan in the middle of the floor, like free throw line area in space, I mean, you don't often see him put the ball on the floor and make a play, you know, head up, eyes up, make a lob pass like how Blake Griffin used to do to him. You know, Blake Griffin, he was fantastic in those short roll situations with DJ in the dunker spot. But we were playing drop coverage. Jamal Murray scored 7 points just off of the coverage alone. And Chris Dunn, I mean, I'm looking at Chris Dunn. His calling card has been defense. And weirdly, in the last game, his offense was great and his defense was atrocious for his standards. And I'm not talking about the tough shots that Murray was making. When you peel back the tape, there were a lot of times where he wasn't boxing out. He was getting beat off the ball. Like, there was one time, I think it was an Aaron Gordon lob, just completely loses sight of his man on the weak side of the floor and just gets caught out from behind with a lob pass. So Chris Dunn can be so much better, and I have full confidence that he will be better. Season on the line, the dude works his ass off. I think you're going to see a very motivated Chris Dunn who probably watched the film and said, damn, 131 points. The guy that I was guarding scored 43 points, albeit not all those points were on me. I got to be better. I got to take more pride. I got to be a little more disciplined. I mean, James Harden as well. This is do or die, buddy. There's a lot of pressure on James Harden. Unlike someone like myself, a lot of people have not given up hope with James Harden being able to win a championship. I said, I've never wavered on this. I said the Clippers could win this series. I never said we could win the championship this year. I've been very adamant about that. Now, people might want to say, if you don't believe, what's the point? I don't understand what that means. I'm still going to be at the games rooting for them, but I just don't think from a basketball perspective that we can beat the Thunder unless some major injury happens to like SGA or something. If we win this series, of course. That's not me being, I don't think, do Wizards fans have hope that they can win the championship? I mean, they don't, but they're still fans, right? So I'm just being honest about the basketball I'm seeing on the floor. I think we can win this series, and I'll still root for the Clippers no matter till the day I die, unless something crazy happens. But yeah, that's how I feel. I don't really have faith in Harden to win a championship, but there are a lot of people out there that do. And so for those people, he needs to perform. And I said he was going to win this series, so I'm going to get clowned if we lose this series, as I should be. I said bring on Denver on this show. This is the series for Harden. And I'm not even talking about the offense yet. I'll get into that in the next segment. But defensively, I'm not asking for James Harden to lock down and go crazy and get 5 steals. Just be a little more alert off the ball. It feels like they haven't been going at him one-on-one as much. I know last game we switched Harden on to Jokic at one point because he can guard in the post, and we were trying to, get a little physical with him. And I don't think it was a complete disaster, but Harden just needs to be a little better off the ball, in my opinion. And then Norman Powell, same thing goes for him. I mean, I thought off the ball he was atrocious defensively in Game 5. He's not a great off-ball defender. He just needs to be the best version of himself, or Ty's going to have a very short leash with him. Because I know you always want to leave Norman for the shot making, for the attacking closeouts, for the, the abilities of what a 22-point score was, or it was for us this season. But we need to get stops. That's the thing. We need to get stops. If we're not getting stops, I don't know. It's just those guys, they're a different kind of offense. There's movement around them. They really have exposed the fact that James Harden and Norman Powell are bigger liabilities off the ball than they are on the ball. And the Denver Nuggets have always had in this, Jokic Murray era, at least when they've become, a winning team since 2017-18. A lot of movement in their offense. So you have to be very alert. You have to see man, see ball. You can't just be sagging and helping ball watching. They will expose that very well, especially with Jokic's passing ability. So it really comes down to, and Kawhi, I have full-on confidence Kawhi is going to be a much better version of himself defensively. Some of the things we were seeing were very uncharacteristic from him. So I believe and Zubats. Zubats doesn't really have games like that anymore defensively where we don't even notice him, but I didn't notice him. There were very few times in a game where I said, great defense, Zoo, great rim protection, way to be vertical, way to contest. None of that. So we get a little bit of everybody being better individually, because I'm saying I don't think there was much of a scheme issue in terms of defensive coverages, except for, the drop coverage. Actually, that one. If we're playing drop coverage against DeAndre Jordan Murray pick and roll, I really think that is. We should not be playing drop coverage against Murray with a guy that can't make decisions out of the short roll. He made one alley-oop pass, and that was the only time in the entire series he's made a good decision out of the short roll, DeAndre Jordan. So please do not go drop coverage on Jamal Murray when DJ's setting screens. We just don't want Jamal Murray to walk into shots. But coming up, the main thing we need. We're going to be talking about that coming up. I got to tell you a little something about Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices, no console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to go. Drive into hundreds of premium titles, including EA Sports, College Football 25, to Call of Duty, as easily as you stream your favorite shows. Ever wanted to try out Xbox games without the big upfront investment in a console? Fire TV Stick can be a low-pressure way to start exploring. And let me tell you this, Fire TV Stick has been super clutch for me. If your TV doesn't have like all the apps that you want, it'll have everything on your Fire Stick. Fire Stick got me through college. It was helping me. I had one in my house before it burned. So it's really a good investment. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. All right. I cannot believe that this might be my last pregame pod of the season, but it can't be. It just can't be. We can't lose in 6 when I said Clippers in 6. We have to at least lose in 7 if we're going to lose. But, of course, I don't want to lose. Now, the biggest thing, and every single person except for stans and fanboys can't acknowledge it, is that our stars have to be better. Our stars have to be better. I don't think he's a star, but Norman Powell has to be better. I just talked about his defense, but you need to make open shots. Point blank, period. Let's take a look at the Clippers' averages in this postseason through 5 games. Norman Powell's averaging 16 points a game. And again, it's hard for me to gauge what Norman Powell's true average would be in the regular season if Kawhi Leonard was healthy for the majority of it. Because I could just take the games that he played with Kawhi, but they were both like rehabbing and different stages of their own recovery. So that's part of why it's been kind of wonky in the playoffs for me in terms of shot distribution and how they've looked together. It's like we still want to get Norm in rhythm, but it's Kawhi's team, and they didn't really operate together. When Kawhi was at his best, Norm wasn't, and when Norm was at his best, Kawhi wasn't on the court. So it's been a little weird. Norman Powell is still, when you look at the splits, shooting 46% from the field and 39 from 3 in this series. So that's really good still. It doesn't feel like that, though. It really doesn't. The 69% from the free throw line is terrible for him. He needs to be much better there. But we need better from Norm tonight. Forget the stats. We need better from Norm tonight. Now, when it comes to Zoo, he's averaging 20 and 10 in this series. I have nothing bad to say about him except for I think that defensively, like I mentioned, and rebounding, he wasn't good enough last game. But for me, he's been the best player for us in this series, if it's a Zubats. And then Kawhi. Actually, let's go with Harden first. He's averaging 19, 5, and 9 in this series, which is below his averages for the season. And he's shooting 44, 37.5, 77 splits. 77% from the free throw line when he shoots 87% there's absolutely zero excuse for that. Zero. This is huge. I mean, listen, I don't like to use the word legacy game because James Harden is cemented as a top 75 player that's ever played the game and one of the best offensive engines the game has ever seen. He's averaged 36 points in a season. He could have won MVP more times than one. But there's a serious reputation about him in the playoffs. And there's always been, at least for Harden's fans in the comments and whatever, and I'm not trying to acknowledge them, but they always have some excuse. You know what I mean? It's in 2017, okay, he had a bad game 6, but that Spurs team was just better, and they would have lost to the Warriors anyway in the next round. And then there's the Chris Paul injury. And then the following year, it's CP3 wasn't good enough. He was injured and looking like a shell of himself, and that team didn't have enough to beat the Warriors. And then the following year, they weren't good enough to beat the Lakers. Russ was injured. Then it was in Brooklyn. He was injured. And then it was in 2022. They didn't have a full season to compete together, Philadelphia. Then the following season, it's Embiid's fault. And Harden still, won him 2 games in games 4 and 1 of that series against Boston. And then last season, Paul George was terrible and Kawhi was out. So there's always something, right? There is no excuse this time for Kawhi or Harden. You know what I'm saying? We got to win this series. And it's about, and the reason, part of why I picked us to win is because This is a good series for Harden. He hasn't beat a good team in the playoffs since the Lob City Clippers, James Harden, in my opinion. Like a really good team. 2019 Jazz, they were decent. They were good. Nothing special. Nothing that he should have lost to. That's not even being a hater. That is the truth. That is the truth. Every other team was good to mediocre. 2017 Thunder, not a good team. They were a one-man show with some decent defenders. So I need Harden to perform here. Now, I'm not going to be surprised if he has a stinker, but he's got to be better. And how can he be better? Well, when it comes to Norm, it's about hitting open shots. When it comes to Zoo, it's about being a little more physical defensively and crashing the glass harder, not volleyball spiking stuff. Harden, on the other hand, he needs to play more iso ball and less pick and roll, as crazy as that sounds. Because, yes, we should still run Harden pick and roll because they're going to, throw two on the ball, and then we're going to swing it and get an open three or a Zubats floater. But depending on who Ty Lue starts, that might be a lot of Chris Dunn open threes. And I'm sorry, I love Chris Dunn, but this season should not come to an end with Chris Dunn shooting open threes. Because that's the thing, is teams can still funnel the shot where they want in these pick and rolls, whether they're in drop or then in, hedge recover or blitz. So we need Harden to just put Jamal Murray in the action more and get downhill. Because what the Nuggets are starting to do is they're starting to run him off the line because they know that James Harden's either shooting a floater layup or a three. And if you're running him off in isolation, and if you're running him off the line, he's not going to step back for the mid-range. He doesn't have a pull-up on a dime. So that's what gets them to force him downhill and make him kick it out. The thing is, that'll still be a good process for us. What I would say for Harden is maybe catch the ball inside the arc, but that's not his game. It hasn't been his game since he's become the offensive engine that he is. So it limits, kind of limits him in ways in that sense. He can still get you a good shot, but if we're talking about Harden shooting more times, it's hard for him to force a step back three if they're sitting on the running him off the line. So I think it's just continue to get 2 feet in the paint. Don't try to foul bait so much. That's huge. And try to put Jamal Murray in the action every time. I watched the Minnesota Timberwolves. Got the Lakers out of here, by the way. So for those that, love that we just have a better season than the Lakers, you got your wish. But, I need better. I don't care about that. It was satisfying to see them lose. Minnesota, what I love that they did was they made sure that Luka did not have a possession off defensively. We got to do the same thing with Jamal Murray, especially with that performance he just had. Really make him work every time. If he's not involved in the action every time, we're doing it wrong. And then you have Kawhi, who's averaging 25, 8, and 5 in the series to go along with 2 steals and a block, which sounds fantastic. It's honestly not enough. And his splits are incredible too. 56, 44, but 74 from the free throw line. I mean, James Harden and Kawhi Leonard, they have no excuses for these free throws. And look, the God's honest truth is those averages look a little inflated because of game 2. In game 1, Kawhi had 7 turnovers, and he is averaging 3 turnovers in the series, by the way. He cost us the game to a large degree in game 1. Now in game 2, he almost single-handedly won us the game. Game 3, he was good. Game 4, he was not good enough till the fourth quarter. And game 5, he was just good. Nothing special. We need better. We need 30. He's only had 1 game in this series where he's had 30 points. That is not good enough. And the other games, he's had 24 points or less. So his average might be 25, but he's only scored 25 or more once in the series in 5 games. So he's got to attack Jamal Murray way more. And he's got to work quicker off the catch and catch the ball inside the arc. He's catching it too far from the basket, and he's working too slowly. He's got to work quicker. Look, this is it for Kawhi and James Harden. They have to perform here. There's nowhere to hide, especially Kawhi for me. Because James Harden, I know that sometimes he can have these kind of moments in the playoffs. Kawhi Leonard is that dude. We've given so much for him. And all this time we've said, give us a healthy Kawhi. Give us a healthy Kawhi. If Kawhi's healthy, then we can beat anyone. We can do this. We can do that. He's been through a lot health-wise. He really has. And you can argue that he might not be that same player that we lost in 2021 in that Utah series. But, man, he looked like an all-NBA player last year. He looked like that same guy this year. He has had problems getting by guys for a while. I've acknowledged that on this podcast. He has. He's looked slower since post-2021. But his shot making has still been so good. However, we didn't see him finish it off in the playoffs. And all your flaws come out in the playoffs. And right now, some of Kawhi's are coming out, so we need him to be amazing. Point blank, end of story. But coming up, what do we need from the coaches? What do we need from Ty and his staff? Going to be talking about that coming up. All right. So a lot of people have been very critical about Ty Lue so far in this series, as you know they're going to be. And the coaching staff, although the coaching staff doesn't seem to get smoke, it's always just the head coach that gets smoke. I thought in game one we had the right game plan. I think the players just didn't execute in that game, to be honest with you. I thought in the second game and the third game we were great. I think the first three games overall, we had the better scheme. The coaching staff was better. So, I was very happy with their performance through three. Shortened the rotation to 9 guys, the 5 starters, and then Derek Jones Jr., Ben Simmons, Bogdan Bogdanovic, and what's his name? Ben Simmons? Yeah, Ben Simmons. It's come off the bench. And Nico. I'm sorry, Nico. And I think it's been fine. Some people have said, why don't we play Amir Coffey? Now, if you remember, before the season ended, Amir Coffey, his off-ball defense was looking really bad. So I think against Denver, that could be dangerous. However, he does give us some athleticism and a guy that can get out and run and knock down open shots. I mean, this season, Amir Coffey shot 47% from the field and 41 from 3 and 89 from the foul line. And at Intuit Dome, he was spectacular in terms of shooting the ball. So I just don't think that they're going to use him in this series. And I don't think we should have to use him. But if we do lose, of course, that deserves to be questioned a little bit. If Ty Lue does find a way to lose this series, I think he deserves to be questioned massively, and my tune will change a bit. I just said give him a chance to have a series with his best player, and then we'll judge. And here's the thing. Even if we do lose tonight, I still don't think I'm going to come out here and blame Ty Lue more than any players. It's a player's sport. Win or lose, to me, I always go with players first. And I'm a coach saying that. And in the NBA, coaching, in my opinion, is less relevant than with the level that I coach, because these guys are incredible basketball players, and a lot of the playbooks around the league are the same. People don't understand that. Kawhi Leonard, there's a reason why they're a movement team and we're a stagnant team. It's the personnel. It's not the coaching. You think Kawhi Leonard and James Harden want to run around off ball like the Christian Brown and Aaron Gordon and Murray? Do you think they want to do that? Do we have a guy that can play out of the high post like Jokic and pass like that? We don't. Zubac is not like that. So the coaching stuff, in terms of, let's think about lineups, right? Do we still start with the same starting lineup, or is it time to make a change? Now, we've been outscored a lot in the starting minutes. So do you start with Nico instead of Chris Dunn? I just don't think they're going to make that move after what Chris Dunn just did. You know what I mean? Meaning shoot the ball well in that last game. Now, if we take a look at the Chris Dunn, I don't even know what I was going to say. If we look at the lineup data from our good friend Adam Osland, he says Nico next to Harden, Dunn, Kawhi, and Zoo. So this is if you took Norm out of the starting lineup and brought him in off the bench as another, kind of a 6th man. And then Bogey, I guess, is like your 7th man. The lineup data is Nico next to Harden, Dunn, Kawhi, and Zoo. It's only 2 minutes of a sample size. So it's +6, but it doesn't matter. It's just 2 minutes. We've never really run that lineup. I think it could be worth a try to take Norm out of the starting lineup, because then, in my opinion, we're working more towards just Kawhi and Harden having the ball in Zoo. So honestly, I would make that change. I would. Do I think he's going to do it? No. He's not going to do it. Do or die game, take out a guy who averaged 22 points. I don't think he's going to do it. I think there's too much politics there. But I think that's one of Ty Lue's flaws. Sometimes he's too nice to some of these guys. But then Nico next to, if you take Dunn out of the equation, which I think could be more likely, Nico next to Harden, Powell, Kawhi, Zoo, it's 6 minutes of a sample size and +4 in this series. So not a big sample size, but pretty good either way. As far as Ben Simmons, I previously said I don't think he should even play, and I honestly mean that. I think he had some good moments, but I really don't think he should even play. If we need to be making shots this game. And I think if we have Kawhi, Nico, and Derrick Jones Jr. out there when Zoo's out, we'll be fine. I think we'll be fine with those three out there all at once. Ben Simmons' offense, it doesn't do it for me at this level. It doesn't even look at the basket. And then in terms of, every possession should be going through Kawhi, more so than Harden. Every possession. He needs to take 20 plus shots tonight. It has to happen. I don't care if he bricks everything. Then we can talk about how he missed shots and it wasn't good enough, but at least he went out swinging. I'm not going to call him selfish. That's the one thing I will not do. If he shoots a lot tonight, I will not call him selfish. We need to go down with him shooting the ball. What else I got? Closing lineup, it just depends on how the game's going. That's all I have for that. 40 plus minutes from Kawhi, Harden, and Zoo. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. 40 plus minutes. It has to be that. So we'll see how Ty Lue does. I don't know about Zubats and Kawhi coming out like midway through the first quarter, by the way. I think maybe with only like 2 minutes left in the first, they should come out and then come right back in. I mean, it's going to be an interesting game to see how they manage it. But it's do or die, Clipper Nation. I'm excited for it. I'll be there. If you're at the game, please, please, please be as loud as you can. Do not give up on this team. We need to force a game 7. All these first-round series have been ending quickly. We need to be the one that goes the distance. We always knew that this was going to be a tough series, a long series, that it was always going to go 6 or 7 games, but let's push it the distance. This is the position that we've put ourselves in now. Make sure you're as loud as can be. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, where a vlog of the game will be out, of course. And this podcast. Make sure you subscribe. Let's go. The road to 8,000 subscribers. We're trying to pass up Locked On Spurs and Locked On Nets. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. You can listen wherever you get your podcasts. The age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers.